So to make that kind of, to explain a little further, I could run a really average workshop, like super average, where it's a little clunky even, things aren't totally running on time, I might be a bit flustered, but if I have crafted a few peak moments throughout the workshop, people will actually remember my workshop to be a lot better than it was. How cool is that, right? You're back in the driver's seat, you're in control. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, what can I do as a peak moment? Peak moments are things that make us feel engaged, joyful, surprised, or motivated, or all four of those things, or only a couple of them. I think a perfect example of this is pre-pandemic, I used to run a lot of trainings. And they were a couple-day events, a lot going on, very intense. But at the end of these events, at the end of the training, we would turn on We Are the Champions, and we'd like blast it, the song. And now that I'm telling the story, it sounds really much more culty than I thought it was. But anyway, so we turn on the music, like full blast. We get everybody in the room, and it's probably like 20 people, let's say, right? They're all cheering. We're like, let's make some noise, right? We get everybody to cheer. And then we got every person who completed the training to run up to us, high-five us, and we gave them their like completion certificate or whatever, right? Now, you're probably thinking like, there's no way I could do that in a client setting, like, are you crazy? We did it, the better, like the more corporate the group was, the more they loved this. It was hilarious. Like people that were in like full suits were just like, all right, and they were like posing for photos with us. It was bizarre, but it was right at the end of the training, and they left with this high, this feeling of like accomplishment and motivation and excitement. And that's just a small example of something that you can do. And these peak moments should be happening throughout your experience or your workshop. Okay. So that's a big one. Now, before we move on to the next slide, I have a peak moment question. I know, I'm going for it again. You guys are like, geez, it's really coming at us. So what I'm wondering is, can you think of the day today, the conference that we're all at, all the talks, all the people you've met, the food you consumed, whatever. Can you think of a peak moment that you had? Could be that chocolate cake at lunch. Did anybody have that chocolate cake at lunch? Wow, that was killer. Anybody can think of a peak moment? Maybe something that was said you don't even need to tell me, but maybe just like raise your hand if you can think of a peak moment.